make me proud. Don't never back up, don't never back down. Stand your ground and always tell it like it is. Yeah, this life's gonna be real damn tough. You take them scars and you call that bluff. Don't let me catch you fitting in, 'cause everyone's an outlaw until it's time to do outlaw shit.
Welcome to Outlaw Entrepreneur Podcast, where doing business at the edge is the status quo and average is out of business. Here's your host, Steve Hauk.
Welcome to episode 1 of the Outlaw Entrepreneur Podcast. Today, I have the pleasure of being with Mr. Bob UncleMuenkel, CEO, I'm assuming is the title, of UncleMuenkel LLC, focused on helping manufacturers and retailers grow their sales by utilizing selling principles without unwanted sales pressure. So, Bob, it is truly a pleasure to have you as my first guest, and I appreciate your willingness to experiment with me here, sir. Good morning.
I'm honored and privileged. Thank you.
So, title of the show, we've switched. The title of the show is "It's Never Too Late." And how fitting, because a year ago you worked for a major corporation where you've spent most your professional life, and you got priced out of the market. You became expendable, and you decided that it was time to go on your own. What led you to that thought process, Bob? What took you there?
Well, as you said, I spent my entire career in corporate life. I'm the type of guy that, when I commit. And I wound up in most of these stints with the various companies I've been with for years. And I recall a few times in my life having the thought process saying, all right, I found a home. I am going to ride this to retirement. And, years later, for whatever reasons, the market changed, the company changed, the people changed, I changed, or any combination therein led to yet another opportunity. And I've been fortunate in a sense that each of these leaps of faith, if you will, from one to the next, were the result of some other company pursuing me. Rather than me, saying, all right, it's not working out here, I'm going to go look for something else. So in that regard, I think I was fortunate. So the paths sort of opened for me, but they were always companies. I was working for companies on behalf of those companies and contributing to their culture, their brands, their success all of my life. And then, I had that same expectation with the most recent employment that I was in through the mid part of 2022. And then, I was surprised to be, as you worded it, priced out of my job. And I had a choice. I mean, I am 63 years old at the time of this airing. So what do you do at 63? Well, I figured, okay, is there another company or corporate opportunity, a company or organization that could use my experience, talents, connections, et cetera? And there were, and we were on the dance floor with more than a few companies after my unexpected availability on the market. But let me answer your question then differently. For years, the urge to go out on my own and begin to start blazing a path on my own and doing things differently, that's been kind of growing inside of me for many years. But for whatever reason, I never had the impetus, perhaps not the courage, maybe all the stars aligned for me to make that leap of faith, because, I always had this sort of safe corporate path that has served me fairly well. But it also, that corporate path has a tendency to hem you in. You know, it fences you in. You work on their initiatives and not yours, and often you do it their way and not yours. And while you may contribute and shape some of that, ultimately you're not really the decider there. So when last year occurred, and I found myself ready for the next opportunity, I was like, you know, if I don't do it now, I never will, Steve. And as scary as that sounds, that's really the thought process. It's like, okay, let's just go for this, and let's create something that hasn't been done before, leveraging my background, my experience, my contacts, and start offering some services or doing things a little differently, and offering this to retailers and to manufacturers across the United States. So here I am, UncleMuenkel LLC.
You know, I think, you know, I've only known you since your last job. And I'll say, from what I saw, I mean, of your performance in that position was, I mean, you had a great opportunity. You kind of were entrepreneurial in that aspect. I mean, you helped forge that company forward into retail. I know you helped me a great deal, so I appreciate that. But I mean, your flavor was on that brand, right? I mean, you did put some of yourself into that. So I think you've always had your brand, even from your times before the last one, right? I mean, you've kind of done a good job of branding yourself over the years. So taking that next step, people love doing business with UncleMuenkel, right? I mean, they always have, or at least that was my take, is I enjoy doing business with you. As a byproduct, I did business with the company you worked for. So tell me, what's the biggest challenge in the last 6 months? I mean, you're 6 months in to UncleMuenkel. What's the biggest challenge for you?
So first, thank you for that. Before I answer that question, I'll just kind of add some color and texture to what you had just said. You know, I'm an all-in guy. Okay, I'm all in at work. I'm all in on my projects. I'm all in on my relationships. I'm an all-in guy, and my wife would joke around and she calls me extreme, because what I get my head on and what I focus on, you know, I am extreme. I am all in. So the things I don't focus on, I pay no attention at all. But the things I do focus on, I could be somewhat, you know, obsessed or just, I'm all in, is what I would say. So, you know, I tried to approach all those previous companies in those positions as an all-in thing. I mean, I was there to give it my all and to contribute to the success of the company, the projects, the people, the customers, and so on. Now I'm all in on UncleMuenkel LLC. So what are these biggest challenges? Well, I've never had my own business like this. I've never been 100% reliant upon myself as a company entity. So it was, you know, just setting up an LLC was new to me. You know, filling out IRS forms to get an EIN number, new to me. You know, all of it was new to me. And I'm going to be launching a website, UncleMuenkel.com, that will provide a variety of services to retailers and manufacturers, and that's new to me. You know, it's all new. It is all new. But on the positive note, there is nothing on my schedule that I don't want to be there, right? And I can surround myself with the people that I want to do business with, and I can be selective in that regard. So as I smile and dial and talk to manufacturers and factories and retailers and folks like yourself, I am representing myself, my own values, what I can bring to the table. So I just need to be honest I need to work within the rules of integrity across the board, and just to ensure that I can deliver a value that it would be needed for them. There are areas of expertise that I'm known for, and those areas I have a high degree of notoriety and strength. So that's what like I have clients every month now, which is rather gratifying, and it's keeping the lights on and it's covering all my travel and all my expenses and so forth. But I'm building something, and some of what I have planned, I have announced, and we could talk about it here if you want, but is going to be different. I intend to serve the industry uniquely and differently. And my goal here is, I think there are unmet needs out there, Steve. And if I have identified these correctly and I approach solving those problems for any number of retailers or manufacturers, then I think I'm going to be a very busy guy. And I expect to be very busy in 2023 and the years to come.
Oh, I absolutely think you will. You bring a level of training expertise that I think is second to none. I know you've utilized one of our Facebook groups to help launch that individual training, that online training that you're and I'm looking forward to UncleMuenkel.com because I will be first subscriber.
Cool. That's awesome. That's good to know. I haven't launched the website yet. And, the old adage, hire what you lack, right? So
training websites are extremely difficult.
Well, mine is not going to be difficult. Mine is going to be easy. And I'm going to hire a professional service to build it, to launch it, and to manage it. And whereas what I'm going to be providing is the vision and the content and some of the ideas.
So what's the benchmark, Bob? What do we got to do to get to that website? I mean, clearly you've got a 1, 2, 3 step here. We're 6 months in.
Right.
And
so, okay, that's fair. So initially I needed to develop a somewhat steady, even if it be minimal, consulting and training clientele who are bringing me into stores to train their people, whether it's content that I have developed. In most cases it is.
You needed to prove to yourself that there was demand for you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm testing everything, if you think about it, because some of what I'm doing is new. So I am gratified and thankful that I've had clients every month since launching, like every month since launching. So I've been out and about in front of audiences, as a paid trainer or a paid consultant for them every month. And what that means is, and I have some consulting clients of which I can't disclose who they are. So that kind of work has kept me busy enough to reach out to 3 select brands whom I did a lot of research on. Their values match mine, their product lines and approach to the customer match mine. So I have these 3 brands in my bag, of which I am a sales representative for them. So in the meantime, while I'm doing consulting, while I'm doing training, and that's what's keeping the lights on, Steve, I'm also calling retailers, contacts that I have worked with in the past through the many years, and trying to see if there's a good fit, because I have some special things in my bag that are very unique. So if it is a good fit, all right, let's move ahead. And what that will do is, as I place products, just like any, manufacturer's representative, that will develop some flow of business, and I'll continue to service those accounts, and that will generate some, consistent monthly income that I can then reinvest into developing content in the studio, because we're going to have studio quality videos, training videos that will deal with sales, but it's not really necessarily about a brand. It's going to be, okay, what is that journey from the door to the desk? What is the customer thinking? Why do they say some of the things they do? Why do they act their ways? What should you expect from them? How can you engage them in a meaningful way that you don't appear selfish to them, that you're genuinely focused on their needs and wants, and then present solutions to their problems? So all of this content, I have a long laundry list of content that will be recorded, edited, and uploaded and available on the website. And so if you're going to be one of the first UncleMuenkel.com customers, so you're going to come in, and my current vision would be something to the effect of, okay, you're going to get a little taste of what's there. All right. So what is this library of content? It'll cost you nothing to get to UncleMuenkel, right? To see what the website will offer. But then all the courses and all the content will be available on a per credit basis, kind of like a university. So you will buy credits, and the credits will cost a certain dollar amount. And each course will have a credit value. Okay, this is a 1 credit course, this is a 2 credit course, etc. So in essence, you're going to buy credits.
So it's really UncleMuenkel University.
It's, I don't know what I'm going to call it, but it's UncleMuenkel.com is where you're going to find it. But you will find all types of content that you, as an entrepreneur, your selling staff, your manager staff who's managing sales, will greatly benefit from. And you can go back as often as you like. You can buy as many credits as you like, or as few as you like. And I envision there's probably going to be a way that if you buy more credits, you pay less per credit. So you can kind of bulk up if you want. If you have, a staff of 10 people selling, maybe you want to buy, 4 times as many credits than it would be an individual. And then you can have those folks sort of log in under whatever username or password you do it. And there's your account with credits, and you use up the credits accordingly. But I don't think that's being done. Well, there are training websites out there. What I think would be unique will be
yours is unique to retail, right? I mean,
it's the content, yes, but I also have content that's good for manufacturers for their sales reps out on the road. Keep in mind that in one of my previous engagements with corporate America, I was director of training and development. So it wasn't just retail focused training. It was also the developing of reps who call on retailers. So I have a wealth of knowledge on that side of the business as well. So that may be of interest to a manufacturer who has a sales force. It may be of interest to a manufacturer's rep who just works for themselves, or a sub rep. But over time, UncleMuenkel is going to get rich in content. Now, there's a limitation in the content that I can deliver. So what I'm going to do is, once that library, if you will, is built out and there are customers coming in, then what's going to happen is I'm then going to hire category professionals, people who are specialists in things that they do. And I'm going to hire them to deliver content into the website as well. And then they will have a share in that revenue. So it won't just be UncleMuenkel's ugly mug on the videos all the time. There'll be other folks in there offering their expertise.
For people that recognize your face, Bob, that aren't in the mattress industry, where have they seen you on TV before?
You mean other than the perp walks when I go to jail or something? I'm just joking. Yeah. No, well, okay. It's been a while, that's for sure. I was the.
We might tune into that older crowd, right?
Yeah.
I bet my grandma would recognize your face.
So yes. So I was on television selling mattresses for a particular brand for 9 years, and I once endeavored to kind of count the number of live shows on TV that I had done. And I think over the course of 9 years, it was, I'll bet I'm pretty close to 300 live shows over that 9-year period of time.
So you have had more than your 15 minutes of fame.
I've had more than my fair share of television fame, if that's what you want to call it.
So when we talk about studio quality, what you're going to deliver, you understand what studio quality looks like.
Yeah, I have a face for radio, but I've been in front of a camera a lot. So as I am now today, no, where I live, there are outstanding studios where, again, you either buy them by the day or by the hour, and it's not cheap. So in fact, the buildup of UncleMuenkel through my consulting training and ultimately the flow of goods will be feeding and paying for that. I'm not taking on debt for this. My business is self-funding. That is the plan. I have a savings, which I've tapped into to maintain my lifestyle, since everything ended last year. So I'm in a decent position where I can ride out some lean times and make investments in the business on behalf of the customers.
So we've talked about, or you mentioned right there that how you finance the business debt-free, right? I mean, I know as an entrepreneur, some of the scariest times and probably the biggest detractor, right? Deterrent is finances and being scared to invest in your business. So how have you overcome that fear, Bob? I mean, you went from a good salary to pricing yourself out of the market to trying to stir up business, all while, you're not on the right side of 50, right? So retire.
I don't know how to take that, but I hear you. Yes,
retirement's near, right?
it is. Yeah,
a lot of people at your point would have just said, you know what, I'm going to retire. I'm not going to do this.
Okay, so there's a lot packed in there. So let's take it one thing at a time. To go from a VP salary, benefits, and those positions for a number of years to zero is humbling. It's jarring if you didn't see it coming. In my case, I did not see it coming my way. So there's certainly a shock value to that. So that was that the best word was humbling. So, but I would say that my wife and I have an approach to money that I think helped us. When my son was born, I started saving for college from within 2 months of that. And, we made a promise to him to fund his college in full, pay for it in full. He was going to graduate college completely debt-free. We kept that promise. We also promised him a car, and we saved for that for years. And, we always lived within or below our means. So that's paying myself through saving money, whether it be for retirement or just liquid savings, has always been kind of like an ethic, a value that both my wife and I share. So we bought him a car and paid for it outright. So our two promises to our son, debt-free college and a car to start his life, have been complete. Plus we downsized twice, which brought our monthly expenses lower and lower and lower. So net, I was in the position at the time of making a decision to start UncleMuenkel LLC with, money in the bank, virtually no debt other than a small mortgage, which I have, which won't last for all that many years when that's done. And us downsizing to just a very manageable level. So in essence, I was in the position to finally take the plunge and actually invest money in the business to stand it up and get it started and cover all my initial travel and, this background that's behind me and all these other, legal costs and trademarks and all that stuff. I was able to fund that all out of savings. And then our monthly expenses going forward before revenue was coming in was also funded out of savings. So is it scary? Yeah. You go from VP to zero. and you're investing in a business and standing up something with no book of business to draw in money. So, it takes a little courage to do that. But I would add to that, think of the audience we serve, retail sales associates. They get up every day, they pretty themselves up, they get in their car, they go to a store, put a key in the door, and every single day they start at zero. Think about that. They start at zero and they hope for a good day. That takes courage too. That takes a lot of courage. The vast majority of workers would never do that. They would never do that. Many, many salespeople work on full commission or a draw versus commission or some version, but they usually can't live on any salary or hourly rate that's being paid out. It's mostly incentive-based commissions or income. And every day they start at zero. They have no sales in the till until they arrive and customers arrive, and then the magic happens. So, if they can be courageous enough to begin their days at zero, then I can be courageous enough to begin UncleMuenkel at zero.
So we have similar starts to business. I was not downsized or priced myself out of the market, but I was in college, and I decided after I graduated, all of a sudden I had this, finally had this 4-year degree, which took me a long road to get there. Finally graduated with my degree, and I thought, somebody's going to pay me for what I'm worth, right? And at that time, I was working for the Department of Corrections, in a really that job is just toxic to your mental health, right? Just toxic. So I have my second daughter, and I'm fortunate. In the 3 years I worked at the Department of Corrections while I was going to school, never took any sick time, never took any vacation, nothing. Survived on about 2 hours of sleep for about 2.5 years, going to school full time during the day, working graveyards. And I walked in and I quit. So I took that 6 weeks. Happened that my daughter was born in April. I graduated in May, so that fell into my 6 weeks of family medical leave. And I walked in and I said, you know what, this job's not for me. They were downsizing everybody. I had seniority. I was safe, but I recognized that I had something that a lot of people that work there didn't. Right. I had other options. I had a 4-year degree, so I thought that would get me a decent paying job. And then I started interviewing at other jobs, and I realized, holy crap, these people want me to work for half what I was already making. Now that I have a college degree, I went from making $70,000 a year to, the most, you graduate, they expect you to start at the bottom. I'm not looking at positions to climb. I'm looking at entry-level positions. And at 28 years old with a family, entry-level positions don't make much sense. And I said, you know what? If I'm not going to make any money, I might as well not make any money for myself.
That's a good way to put it.
So I've been self-employed every day since.
Wow.
That was in 2000. I graduated in 2011 with my bachelor's degree. I don't know. I mix up my bachelor's and my master's sometime. But yeah, it was, 11 years ago anyway, at least. I've been self-employed, and don't regret a moment of it, because I'd rather make $30,000 a year working for myself and choosing who I do business with than somebody else dictating my life to me, right? And that's kind of where I've found corporate America gets to tell you how to spend your time. I get to decide how I spend my time, and sometimes that's more important than money. So
And adding to that, so again, I spent decades in corporate America, different companies, not many of them, but different companies, different cultures. Some were more toxic than others, or some corporate environments changed dramatically in my tenure while I was there due to the company being bought out or whatever economic conditions, and they downsize and they get rid of all your friends and your mentors, and there you are, almost like a stranger, feeling like there's a target on your back, and eventually there was on mine. But it's there's a lot of good that could be taken from corporate America. So UncleMuenkel LLC has been launched. I'm calling the clients across the country who I had a relationship with when I was with corporate America. They provided those connections and those opportunities. Now, granted, I brought my talents and my ingenuity and all those things in order to better their brands and their company and their success. But ultimately, they provided, in my case, corporate America, I'm very thankful for my background and success with those companies, because I think they gave me what I needed through those years to increase the likelihood of UncleMuenkel LLC success. And without those years and those connections and the people that mentored me and guided me through those years, I think opening up on my own would be far more scary, far more precarious. So, I look back with admiration, with respect, with gratitude as to what all of those companies, people, and jobs have offered me today. But honestly, I'm done with that. It's time. In fact, it probably was time 10 years ago, or, it's time. And to navigate your own day makes a big difference.
Well, I see a true advantage, right? And what we see from a lot of entrepreneurs, they get in an industry, right? And then they branch out on their own. I've taken multiple industries, right? I was in the personal finance realm first, built a business and sold it. And then got talked into another business. And this one I enjoy a little bit more, but I make a little bit less. But a lot of people stay in the industry that they leave from corporate America, right? I mean, you find, like you did.
Right, like I did.
You've built those connections. You're utilizing your network that you were able to build when you were in the industry, and now you're using them as an entrepreneur. Where some of us, we like to hoe the tough road, right? We like to. Retail was. I never even worked at any retail in my entire life before I owned a retail store. I'd never worked a register before. So, I've taken the long road to learn how to be a retail store owner. Finally, I think we've got a good manage on it. 8 years later, I think I've figured it out. I was always good at the sales part. I was a sales guy before. So the sales part was really the easiest part of the job. Still is. I envy my employees every day when I think, oh man, all you got to do is deal with customers. Right?
That's a big deal. I have a question for you. So, excuse me. So you're really an outlaw entrepreneur yourself. I understand the essence of what you're trying to build here with your series of podcasts. There's only two ways in the mattress business. There's only two paths. You're either born into it. So someone in your family is in the mattress business. It could be in your direct family, an aunt, an uncle, a cousin, and they introduce you to the mattress business, and you get in that way. The other way is you stumble into it. You literally, you're oblivious to it. It's never entered your mind that you're going to enter this fluffy rectangle business. I stumbled into it. How did you get into the mattress business? Did you stumble in? Were you born into it? What was your path?
So literally a friend of mine. So I owned a good size insurance agency, and a mattress store opened up right next to me in the shopping center. And when I sold my business, I was going to be a corporate trainer. I was looking to take an opportunity with another insurance company as a corporate trainer. Would have had to travel, lots of, and wear a tie, and I hate wearing ties. I vowed when I sold that business I'd never wear a tie again in my life, and so far, it's been 8 years, and I've not put on a tie. But my buddy said, "Hey, I was moving to Idaho." And he said, "Hey, why don't you just go there and open a mattress store?" It's like it's not that complicated of a business.
Really? You didn't even know the market.
Didn't even know. I didn't. I mean, my family. I grew up here, on and off. But I mean, yeah, I hadn't lived in the area in years, and I just went and I found a cheap location, and figured, what the hell, I'll give it a year. And I had at that time, I just sold a business, sold my house, and so I had some money to play with.
Right.
And I figured, I've never really failed at anything because I've never quit.
Nice.
So I figured we'll give it a go. And we gave it a go, did pretty well. And then got bigger, got smaller, got bigger again. I mean, we're trending in the right direction. We'll see where 2023 takes us, but yeah, we've done well in retail. Still not I won't lie, retail is not my passion. Helping people is my passion. And I think that's something that you're good at, right? I mean, when I really see good sales trainers and salespeople, right, emphasizing empathy is important. I spent an hour yesterday talking with this little old lady, and I think it was probably the longest conversation she'd had with another human being in quite some time. And that's the part of the business, sales, any business you're in. If you can't do it with empathy, I think you're doing it probably for the wrong reasons. What do you think?
And I think that's a fair point. I think it's even bigger than that. If you're not going to do life with empathy, then you're probably not doing it right. So those who do and approach life with empathy will approach sales with empathy. Those who don't approach life with empathy, it's all about themselves and getting ahead. And, and they may have noble reasons to do that. I want to accomplish certain things. I want to support my family, my children, my community. They may have some noble reasons, but the approach to chasing the dollar may not have holistic methods or motives. But to your point, yes, empathy matters to me. Empathy matters a lot to me.
The part that I've discovered over the last decade of being self-employed is the more I chase the dollar, the harder it is to get,
and the less fun it is.
And the more I just serve people, the easier. The money seems to come, right? It works that way. If you truly care about what you're doing and helping people, the money tends to figure itself out. And I won't lie. I didn't wait till dang near retirement like you, right? I had some really scary moments trying to pay for a family. When I started my first business, I almost had nothing. zero. And I started it with zero, and it was literally kill to eat every day, kill to eat. But I wasn't happy doing it that way. That was the most challenging, and probably why I'm no longer in the financial services business. Had I not had to go through that rough beginning, and planned it out a little better, I'd probably I just never enjoyed it, because I just felt like I had to kill every day, and that's not my mentality.
It's I learned something many years ago, and I learned this lesson multiple ways. Okay, so it wasn't like a single seminal moment in my life or my career, but I'll share with you my approach. Corporate America is very, what is the word? They're very dogmatic about goals and about reaching milestones, and everything has to be in writing and reported up line. I'm going to open a certain number of accounts in Q1, certain store doors, if you're a rep on the road, and certain slots, and corporate America really gets into this forecasting, more or less, sales goals and so on. And I've always felt that the goals are important. We should have directional and motivational goals in front of us. And there should be some stretch goals internally, and there should be some realistic goals. But you don't reach any goals unless you plan and manage a process. So let me give you an example. UncleMuenkel. UncleMuenkel needs retail clients across America. I have 3 brands. All 3 are worthy of being floored and sold. I mean, I did my due diligence. I am proud to represent these companies. So it's not like I sat down and said, all right, I need X amount of clients by the end of Q3. I need X plus Y amount of clients by the end of Q4. I need X, Y plus Z by the end. You follow what I'm saying? I didn't sit down and articulate in writing what that needed to be. Instead, my approach was to, and has been for many years, is to manage the process. Okay, I need to be disciplined. I don't have a boss. If I don't smile and dial, no one's going to do it for me. So I need to be disciplined. I need to be at my desk at a certain time, and I need to open up my spreadsheets, and I need to smile and dial. And at the end of the day, that plus, other activities, creating content and the other things that because my business has, different legs of this stool. It's not a singular thing of just placing product. So what I would do is I would focus on the process. I do know that if I make a certain number of phone calls per day and get a certain number of contacts per day and have a certain number of conversations per day, and they don't even have to be clearly defined, the process is the discipline of going through it. Then something, at the end of this quarter, that quarter, and the other quarter, I'm going to have retail clients, and I'm going to be flooring products, and I'm going to ensure with them that they're successful.
And you're going to be doing business with people that you want to do business with.
Yeah, or that want to do business with me. It's like I'm not married to any clients here, but if I have both in the person of Bob Muenkel and the training services, the consulting services, and the products that deliver margin that will sell through, to flow through to your business to help you reach your goals, well then, I'm not sure I even need to like you. You know what I mean? It's, we're doing business here. Okay. So I know how I'm going to act because I have very strict codes of ethics. All right. And integrity in my approach to my personal brand. And that was always true. Even
you never told a customer to walk, Bob.
I may have done that. I was probably very nice about it. So I may have said something,
the business.
I'm not sure we have what you're looking for. And I don't want to take up too much of your time. So it's all about how you do it. But having said that, the point of this is rather than put down in paper numbers of a result, my approach has always been, no, I want to be disciplined. And what I want to do is manage the activities that will generate the number on the piece of paper, and the number will be what it will be. Does that make sense?
No, so we operate in the same method.
Okay.
Because I've always, and granted, I mean, my master's degree is in executive leadership, and they force feed you, set the goals, right? Set the goals, set the expectations. And then, you set the SMART goal, you break it down. What's it take to achieve this aspect of,
and all that's valuable. But the question is it's goals are nothing but the aggregate results of certain activities. And I chose to focus on, rather than the setting a result goal, I focus on the activity goal. And today I'm going to make X amount of phone calls today.
I learned that in the financial services business is kind of where I adapted that. Is I knew what activity it took to generate a customer, right? However, I mean, if I had to dial 100 phone calls that day, and I spent plenty of time smiling and dialing back then, and nobody likes telemarketers. Right. And essentially I was a telemarketer.
Right.
And just saying, hey, I'd love to give you an insurance quote. Right. First, I have to find a way in making that call, find your in so that they don't hang up on you.
Right.
And man, I think we'd have to I'd dial about 170 numbers a day for an opportunity to make about 5 quotes, and you close about 1 out of every 10, right? So
every other day you're going to close 1.
Every other day,
right?
And that's a lot of rejection.
So now you understand. So I'll give you an example where I think the numeric goals are very important in forecasting supply chain. So factories have to order materials to make products. And if you can't have sales forecasts, right, over time and, almost really captured in real time, then you're never going to be able to make the products that you need in the time frame that you need and deliver to the customer to delight the customer. So I get all that on the supply chain. I get all the numeric goals there. But I think in sales, I think a better approach would be to focus on your discipline and the activities and your education and bettering yourself so that as opportunities present themselves, you're more likely to get a yes. And if you're disciplined in that, so if you manage the activities and the talent and the how you do it, I think the what happens at the end becomes virtually automatic. And I don't need to know what that number is. I need to know the activities I'm going to do today that will likely yield a result in the future.
And I think we can instill that in our retail associates, right? I mean, one thing I've really struggled with my own retail associates is getting them to understand that treat every customer like they're the only customer.
Right. Every day is opening night. Every day.
When I look at closing ratios, I get appalled sometimes. I'm like, man, I get fewer customers. I make bigger sales. I make, my closing ratios higher. But it's really because I treat every customer like they're the only customer in the store at any given moment.
Right. And you're right, because that's how we want to be treated. We want to be treated the same way. Think of what we're asking the customer to do, okay? They haven't been sleeping well in quite some time. Customers have a tendency to postpone shopping for a mattress, either due to ignorance, they don't realize their mattress is failing them, and they blame it on other things. I've gained weight. I get stressed on the job. The kids are killing me, whatever it is. Okay. So at the time we meet them, their sleep problems have been mounting for some time and getting worse. And it finally has gotten so bad that they have finally decided to invest time, money, and hassle in order to fix it. Finally. Okay. So then they get in their car and they go to a store that more often than not, they have never entered before. It's a strange place. They encounter a salesperson like yourself or myself or anyone for that matter. Again, another stranger. We ask them to lie down in public in front of strangers to try a mattress. It's just really a deeply personal item. They don't know how to shop for mattresses. They're big, fluffy rectangles. They walk into a store with 45 rectangles, and we're thinking, oh my gosh, I am guaranteed to have exactly what you're looking for. And they're thinking, oh my gosh, this is going to be harder than I thought. So when we meet our retail customer, there's a mismatch in emotions. There's a mismatch in expectations. There's a mismatch in so many ways in order to provide the type of environment, the type of conversation that gets the customer focused on the right things and therefore making a confident decision to buy this product at that price from this person. There's really 4 whys to retail. There's why us, which is selling your company. Why me? Why did you do business with me? How did I earn your sale? Why this? Well, why is this the product that you're looking for? Why does your search end with this one? And why now? So I think every retail conversation that is aimed at getting a yes needs to professionally and convincingly answer all 4 whys. Why us? Why me? Why this? Why now? And I teach the elements of that on bringing about the coordinates of yes. Ultimately, the customer buys when their confidence in the outcome exceeds the fear of making a purchase mistake. When their confidence in the outcome is high, okay, this will do it, and their fear of making a purchase mistake is low or completely eliminated, they're done. I mean, the whole purpose in shopping for a mattress is to buy one. That's what success looks like. That's the point. To keep shopping actually represents failure. And it is our job at retail to meet the customer where they are and to artfully and gently bring them along some sort of, well thought out process that builds confidence in the outcome and eliminates the fear of making a purchase mistake. I mean, this is UncleMuenkel. That's what UncleMuenkel is going to bring to the industry in so many ways, both on video and in live and so forth. But to your point, notice the empathy. Notice the extreme interest in the customer in this moment to find out what really will help them. And then to use this entire selection in an unselfish way to bring about a solution to their problem.
Well, I think you bring about a valuable point. I mean, not just in mattress sales. I mean, though mattress sales tends to bring about a little more vulnerability, right? Because it's a private thing, right? Normally when you're on a mattress, you're in a private setting. So to do it in public is very vulnerable. But I think in all of sales, right? One, a customer admitting that they have a need, right? That's a vulnerable. Most people don't openly admit that they don't have the solution. And so they're being vulnerable with you. So I think being empathetic to the fact that, hey, even with a car, right? I mean, there's things that people don't, you're a car guy. I saw there's things you don't know, no matter how much research you do, you need that reassurance that you're doing the right thing.
Right. And what I want might be different than the pitch. You know what I mean? It's like, I think one of the biggest mistakes that retail sales associates make is they learn a pitch, they learn a brand, and they have confidence in the brand. They've had success selling it, and maybe they've gotten feedback from customers who love it. It's worked out, they don't return it. Okay, great. So, and from reps and whatever they're reading, and maybe other associates they talk to, they learn more or less kind of like, how do I tell this story? And everyone has their story, their favorites, their favorite brands, their favorite stress points that they deliver. So they learn what I call is a pitch. Now, if you smiled and dialed, you know what I'm talking about. Okay. It's a pitch.
No,
okay.
We scripted it, right? I mean, there's
yes. And there were times at retail,
this way, you go to this line.
Yes. Right. And I still teach elements of that too, because there are, I think sales is both science and art. The science is the process. Okay. What is the best process for a customer to plug into based on our expertise and our experience to really solve their problem the best possible way? Okay. So there's the science of, this. But then there's the art. And the art is being yourself, being authentic, being empathetic, listening, not using big words that they won't understand. Not showing them features that have no bearing on their lives. So I'll share a story. I was this is many years ago. I was in charge of a large district of stores and a lot of salespeople, and I was in a store, and I watched a customer come in, and my salesperson working with that customer. Now I wasn't close enough to listen to everything, but I could see what was being demonstrated, what was being talked about with the customer. It was a woman alone. And my sales associate just did a masterful pitch on motion transfer. Okay. Just like he was trained. I mean, I'm sure he was nervous because the boss was in the store. So he went all out. Great. Meanwhile, the customer winds up with a card in her hand that's headed to the door. And we were a one-call close operation. If you leave, they fall into a moat with alligators. You never see them again, okay? So highly competitive market. So I stopped her at the door before she got out and, engaged her briefly with, did you see everything that you needed? Did you know what I'm saying? More or less reopen the sale. And I learned in my brief conversation that she slept alone. She slept alone.
Really important.
She slept alone. Motion transfer had no bearing on her life, but my associate did not ask the question. And the pitch, he delivered the pitch, which was about this, okay? Or partially about this, but that was the hero ingredient that he was talking about, that she did not have that problem. And I think in this lesson, you learn that empathy isn't just a word. It's an entire approach to understand that each customer is an individual. Even couples, you have two individuals. And you've seen it before when they disagree on comfort. There's two individuals there. And it's important for us to ask questions, to be approachable, to show empathy, to genuinely show interest, to treat them like they are the only customer in the store, as you said earlier. And then draw them out and find out what are the problems they need to solve. Then when you present any product, stop with the pitch. Just stop. Just don't go there. That's selfish and it doesn't work. Instead, have those features within that mattress come alive within the lens of their problems. And don't discuss features that have no bearing on their lives. So asking the right questions.
We can take the word mattress and just say product, right? Any product.
A home laundry, a refrigerator, flooring, carpeting. I mean, almost all infrequent need-based, all infrequent high-ticket need-based purchases would fall into this category. The customer doesn't know what they don't know. And and you said it earlier, it's about a need. So need brings them to the door. But desire brings them to the desk. And I think the mistake that sales associates make is they deliver a pitch when what they should be doing is connecting with the customer, finding out what's important to them, and then customize your presentation to that customer's needs and wants. And they will leave with the idea that the product that they bought, because they will buy, was custom made for them, was specifically designed for people like them. And that's what you want. That's how you build confidence in the outcome. So why UncleMuenkel? My extreme outlaw idea here is to really teach solution selling and integrity selling with a great deal of integrity and passion. And I'm using the word twice, I shouldn't, with just a great deal of passion. Not only because the customer deserves it, they deserve it. They deserve that. They deserve your opening night performance. But we need to be thoughtful as sales associates and as trainers that these customers are people and they don't know any better and they don't have to know any better. It is our job to, with empathy, with genuine interest, with questions, learn what is it that you're really trying to accomplish here. And then, okay, how can I use all my tools in my store in order to address your specific needs so that you came to the right place? Why us? Why me? Why this? And why now? And to do that with absolute integrity and empathy and artfully, that is why UncleMuenkel exists today, to teach those principles. And they are teachable. That's the best part.
So 2 final questions. What scares the hell out of you when it comes to business?
Spreading myself too thin. Like, at what point do I bring on people to help? You know, I'll tell you what my fear is. So we got Las Vegas market coming up. I have appointments, Steve. I have appointments with highly regarded, well-respected, well-established retailers, some of them with many locations. So I'm going to present my heart out. And if there's a fit, I'm going to hope for some yeses. But what happens if I get a lot of yeses, Steve? What happens if you're out there fishing for
too much success
for a dolphin? I don't want to use it. You're fishing for giant tuna and you hook a whale. How do you get the whale into a little boat? Or do you? And that's just it. So my fear is spreading myself too thin and recognizing, ideally in advance, when I need to go out to the market and pluck someone, you know, someone to join the fold here and to help out so that we don't disappoint the client. I don't want to do that. That's my fear. And I think I'm going to be near the edge at times. And, you know, it's the edge. Do I need another person? Because that's a big commitment, right? Do I need another person? And if all of a sudden business changes.
I'll tell you the most difficult thing about being a store owner, business owner with employees, right, is not whether or not I get paid, but whether or not my employees get paid.
Right. And I've been living without income. I'm sorry, I interrupted. Like, I've been living without income the second half of last year. Okay. So I'm drawing on my savings. Thank the Lord above that I have savings. Okay. And Karen and I have sort of managed our way through this. So we're not desperate. Okay. But at the same point in time, I don't want to draw on my savings forever. Okay. So this does have to generate some income over time, and I'm sure it will build over time. But here's the difference. I can go months without a paycheck, Steve. Someone I hire can't. Okay, so that's a different dynamic, which is specifically. So I have never been in that position where I am responsible to pay an employee, because I've always been in corporate America. So that's new to me. And, you know, I almost hope I have that problem, that things have grown to a point that I can now provide a legitimate opportunity to other people I care about, people I respect.
I can tell you that's a scary moment. I mean, I can remember being early in business and writing checks to employees and nothing to myself, thinking, damn,
Right. Why am I doing this?
what am I doing here? I'm
Right.
working so I can pay somebody else.
Right.
But I can
And
tell
I'll bet
you,
every entrepreneur, nearly all of them, have been in that position. And, you know, it's, it is likely that I will be in that position. And
so
I think that's scary to me. Go ahead.
final question. I appreciate that openness there. Best resource for business owners, entrepreneurs, salespeople. Where would you direct them? Somebody wants to go into business or go into sales. What's your go-to?
Okay, so I'll have to refine the question because I'm not sure I know how to answer that. Are you talking about specifically in the mattress business?
No, any business. It can be a book. It can be anything you got.
So my advice would be is that if you want to be an entrepreneur, there are, I think, two things that will increase the likelihood of success. No, three things. You said one of them earlier. One is grit. I mean, good old fashioned grit. Okay, you need grit because it's not always going to be easy, and it may be hard for a sustainable period of time. You need grit. Okay, so that's one. And if you don't have grit, I think the degree to which you don't have it, you should either find out and get it, put that as part of your character, and build it up from there. But you can't give up, because you said it earlier in your conversation. You didn't give up. There were lots of reasons to give up, but you never did. So I think grit is one. The second thing is start saving now. Live under your means and save money. Just save money. Save money. There's a lot of reasons saving money and building up money in an account over time is a good idea. Whether you're starting a family, you're buying a home, maybe you want to buy an existing business rather than do a startup. But save money, because opening a business, especially from scratch, you know, unless you're really lucky or you have just huge investors behind you, you know, you're going to have some lean times, and those lean times could be longer and more sustained than you think. So save money, have grit, save money. And then the last thing that I would suggest is you need a product, a service, an idea, or an approach that it's very clear to you that you can approach the market better than anyone else in that market. You need to be better than them. So you need an angle. You either need a better product, or you need an existing product at a much better price, right? Or you need a better service or a better way of serving the customer, right? You need to be better than their options in that market. And if you're convinced that you can do certain things better, truly better, demonstrably better, then you can create raving fans. So that's the three things I would say. You need grit. You need to be resilient. Save money now and do it forever, and give yourself some resilience that you can draw back on. And then you need to be better than your competition in some meaningful way. You need to be very clear about what those differences are.
To emphasize saving money, I can tell you my success in the last year has really been, you know, we had two really good industry-wide years, right? COVID was uniquely good to our industry.
Right.
And I didn't spend the money, right?
Nice.
So I hear many people crying, you know, now that things are slowing down again, returning to normal. They're saying, oh, I mean, some of them are going out of business because they spent money. they spent the money. They can't endure. And so I emphasize, I mean, spend wisely, right? Control those. Sometimes you can't control the in, but you can always control the out.
Right.
So control that aspect of the business first, and then the in, I mean, as that increases, you can increase the out, but definitely save. Bob, UncleMuenkel, I truly appreciate you being the first guy to take a leap of faith on the Outlaw Entrepreneur here, and we definitely gleaned some key insight into what it takes to succeed in sales. And I think, I mean, all businesses start there, right? I mean, all business starts when you sell something, not when you make it.
Exactly. Right. It all starts with a conversation. Hey, I want to congratulate you on this podcast and all your future podcasts. I love the fact that you're putting yourself out there. You've done it on Facebook with your Mattress Industry Network, that group, that very successful. And I think a lot of people rely upon that. So kudos to you and the others who helped you found that and put that together. It has been an honor and a privilege to spend time with you today. And anytime you reach out and we want to have some more conversations, I'm happy to help.
Perfect. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Take care now.
To your gun, son, make me proud. Don't never back up, don't never back down. Stand your ground and always tell it like it is. Yeah, this life's gonna be real damn tough. You take them scars and you call that bluff. Don't let me catch you fitting in, 'cause everyone's an outlaw until it's time to do outlaw shit.